This is a special day. This is a marvelous day if there ever was a day to be a One Piece fan. You know what I mean? Because this is the day we start the part of this series with Whitebeard in his prime. It's been a long time. I understand there are probably people that started reading One Piece after Marineford. I mean, it's a long story. I mean, I didn't start reading it on a weekly basis until Impaled Down. There's probably some people that didn't start reading it weekly until well after Whitebeard was long dead. And here we are! We get the flashback! This is the part that you've all been waiting for, even if you haven't been a huge fan of the flashback, which I can understand, because this flashback is still going to go on, I think, for a few more chapters, because there's just so much in Oden's life we need to focus on. So even if you weren't feeling the chapters up until now, things do begin to speed up a little bit at this point, kind of wrapping up how the retainers became Oden's retainers, how the scabbards were formed. That kind of gets wrapped up in this chapter, and at the end of this chapter, we finally get to the meat of this. The thing about Oden's backstory we were the most interested in. How did he meet Whitebeard? His journey on the, the Whitebeard crew, eventually meeting Roger, journeying on Roger's crew, Laugh Tale, all that stuff seems to be coming up right after this. So, yeah, here we go. All right, let's just dive right in. We got One Piece chapter 963 titled Becoming a Samurai. The cover page is really not that much anything to really talk about this week. We get an introduction to a new pirate crew arriving at Dressrosa called the Germ Pirates. So based off of like disease and stuff. So they show up and they're just like, we're the Germ Pirates, yarg! And that's all we get, really. I will say though, not much more beyond the cover page than that. I mean, Beiji's crew is probably going to take them down. The Marines are also present. Let's be honest here. These guys don't really seem like supernovas to me. The Germ Pirates, yes. I'm Captain, E. coli with a bounty of 700 million berries. So it's like, I don't think that's the case here, right? But, yeah, Beiji will do probably something to take them down. I will say, though, it is kind of smart of what they did, because while, Riku and Viola and Rebecca and everybody are going to Reverie, instead of the other pirate crews that decided to try to attack them on the way there, these guys, these geniuses, figured out, hey, wait a second, instead of trying to attack King Riku's ship, which is going to be heavily fortified and guarded by marine vessels, why don't we just attack Dressrosa when the king and his, master of guard, because, Kyros went with them, too, to Reverie, how about we just attack Dressrosa, which is still recovering from Doflamingo, which is probably going to have way less protection? Why don't we just do that? So, not a bad move here. They're still going to get their asses kicked, but hey, at least they're thinking ahead. All right, I'll just throw that out there. Okay, so we start off with another flashback inside of the flashback, which continues on through Oden's flashback, okay? We get basically a story. The narrator comes on and he says, in the land of Zo, this country that's carried by a massive elephant named Zunisha, for hundreds of years now. We don't get an exact date, but for hundreds of years now, the Kozuki clan and the minks of the Mokomo dukedom have made a pledge that if one of them were in trouble, the other would come to their aid, no questions asked, and this is a vow that must be carried until the end of time, okay? So, we don't know how far this is back. It just says centuries ago. So, centuries ago could mean the Void Century, or something I like to think, it might involve Ryuma in some way, because Ryuma was also a big deal in Wano about 400 years ago. I think 400 years is definitely long enough to build this is a really ancient vow we took, 4 centuries back. That's a long ass time. So it might be involving Ryuma, or it could involve the Void Century in some way. Also keep in mind that it was the Kozuki clan way back in the day that were the stonemasons that created the road poneglyph, and actually, yeah, the road poneglyph's on Zunisha, so I guess, yeah, I just realized, yeah, I guess that would mean it's more Void Century than Ryuma. I really want Ryuma to get tied into this. Can you kind of tell? But yeah, I guess considering that the stonemasons were the Kozuki clan, and they gave the road poneglyph, and we even get to see the road poneglyph here in this flashback, because basically how this flashback is structured is Inu Arashi and Nekomamushi, they are, young at this point, they're around 6-7 years old, and they're being told this story inside of the whale forest. Considering these two were, I guess, supposed to grow up to be the leaders of the nation, the current leaders of the Mokomo dukedom, their predecessors gathered Neko and Inu in the whale tree, where where the road poneglyph is and where the sigil of the Kozuki clan is, and they're telling them this story. This is the first time they're hearing about what the Kozuki clan are and how they should protect them and everything. Like, you know, Inu, Neko, if someday you are going to lead this country, if you're going to lead Zou into the dawn of a new era, you need to know this vow, this covenant that we made with the Kozuki clans centuries ago. So yeah, with the road poneglyph being there, I'm assuming it's Void Century. Now, this had kind of the opposite effect than what they were figuring. I guess not really opposite effect, because I guess the opposite effect would be like, you need to always listen to the Kozuki clan. Whenever they come for help, we must help them. And if, you know, they need help, I mean, when we need help, they'll come for us. You know, I guess the opposite effect of that would be like Neko and Inu being like, we don't care about that, we're gonna go do something else. But no, they get a little bit too excited about this story, considering they've lived on Zou their entire lives, and, you know, you're allowed to leave Zou if you want, it's just that most minks don't. They all get excited because they're little kids, and so they decide, let's head out to sea and find Wano. Because it's like, wow, this land of Wano sounds really cool. I want to see it for myself. So Neko and Inu, they're like, at this point, you know, they're growing up. They're like best friends. The animosity hadn't really started yet. They're like best buddies growing up. So they decide, okay, let's head out to sea. By the way, the fact that they're also both the same age, 40 years old, it's not possible for them to be brothers, isn't it? Like, we've already explained the whole mink genetic thing. It's the same thing with the fishmen and merfolk genetics. It's like, yeah, you can have a dog and a cat born to the same parents from the genetics, you know, the genes that are from like centuries back or generations back, you know? It's the same thing with fishmen. You can have a shark fishman and an octopus mermaid give birth to a clownfish merfolk. You know, that's totally possible, right? So in this situation, yeah, I guess they could be brothers. It's never been stated, but they're always together at a young age. They're both the same age, and they're both being told at the same time, like, this legacy of the minks, as if, like, you know, you are going to rule this country someday. You need to learn this. So I'm just throwing that out there. It's possible. Anyway, so they go out to sea. Problem is, they're still little kids, and they know nothing about the outside world. And it's actually kind of funny, because this is literally the new world they're screwing with here. And I don't know if this downplays the scariness of the new world a little bit, but you have two, like, 7-year-old minks getting into a little tiny dinghy and then descending Zunisha into the stormy seas of the new world, and just with absolutely no knowledge whatsoever, they somehow managed to survive this journey and get to Wano Beach, which means they also had to sail up the waterfall at one point, and yeah, I don't know how the hell they managed this. It's really funny, though, because they're sailing and they're like, so where's Wano at? Like, it's like they expected to just descend off Zunisha, sail off into the distance, and Wano would just be right there the entire time, because they know nothing about the outside world. They're like, man, Inu, I hear there's like 5 whole islands in the new world. Wow, 5? I heard it was 3. Oh no, it's way more than 3. It's like 5. There might even be 6. Whoa, 6 whole other islands? Because they've lived on Zou their whole lives. They have only known one place. But yeah, so it doesn't go too well. That's how they ended up getting shipwrecked at Wano. Actually, like I said, there's still a few more parts of that story. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. How did you get up the waterfall? How did you survive the weather of the new... You were in a tiny little dinghy, for God's sake. Okay, fine, whatever. We'll just roll with it. It's just magic, I guess. All right. The sea god drifted them to where they need to be. The god Oda is up there, and he's like, all right, Neko and Inu, I will take pity on your haphazard journey. You will find your way to the place that you were looking for the entire time. Kind of convenient. Anyway, so this kind of picks up where we left off at the end of last chapter. Kawamatsu was walking on the beach, kind of noticing Neko and Inu lying there, just kind of poking them with a stick, like, hey, man, God, you guys are freaky looking. Imagine that. Neko and Inu wake up and they're like, oh, where are we? And they have freaking Kawamatsu, who, as we find out in this chapter, is a fishman. We kind of figured that from what Zoro was saying. In fact, I didn't figure that. I wanted him to be a straight up Kappa, because I'm really into that whole yokai species existing, which, hey, okay, Kawamatsu's not part of that, but Onimaru is still a legitimate transforming kitsune, and Oars and Oars Jr. are some kind of ancient giant Oni race, okay? So just, that's, my idea is not thrown out yet, alright? It's just Kawamatsu is in fact straight up a fisherman, and Zoro had stated that before when he first met him. But yeah, imagine Neko and Inu waking up, and then Kawamatsu's like, you guys are really freaky looking. You know, Kawamatsu being the fishman. Okay, fine. So, yeah, it turns out Oden doesn't find them right away, and we also find out Kawamatsu also had not met Oden yet. That was kind of ambiguous last chapter, because we had a 6-year time skip here. We didn't know if it was like, okay, was Kawamatsu already a part of the scabbards? But no, he hadn't met them yet either. And we find out here, yeah, Kawamatsu is also a little kid in this chapter, okay? So, the people of Curry, I guess, find them wandering the beaches, and they immediately string them up on a post, and they're about to, like, light them on fire, I think. To be fair, I mean, it is Wano. I mean, the people there do believe in things like yokai and stuff, so if you see a cat person and a dog person and a legitimate kappa who is, like, a yokai that, like, steals children, then, and eats cucumbers, but mostly the steals children thing, then I guess that would be your immediate response to that if you believed in that sort of stuff. You just, like, burn them at the stake. I'm like, alright, whatever, but it's cool, they don't actually do that, but they're about to. It turns out right as this was happening, Oden was fishing in the waterfall on Curry Beach. He fishes one of those giant koi out of the water, the koi that literally are larger than ships themselves, that they use the koi to get to the top of the waterfall. Yeah, Oden just takes out one of those barehanded, and he's like, this should be good enough to fit in an Oden pot. This will be good for one whole night's dinner. So he's dragging this giant fish up on the beach when he sees Neko, Inu, and Kawamatsu and their predicament. So he rushes over, sees what's going on here, and beats the crap out of all of the citizens that were about to burn them. And they're like, what are you idiots doing? Just because they look different from you. Just because this one looks like a scaly kappa. Just because this one has a cat ear and cat mouth and it's literally a cat. Doesn't mean that Wano Ichimonji should just fall down right there. Of course not. It means that they deserve as much respect as we do, okay? So, Oden saves them, kind of gives them, berates the people that did this, and he's like, come on, guys, this is the kind of closed, mindedness that I'm trying to escape from Wano. This is my land of curry. I'm trying to make things different here, okay? So, yeah, anyway, Oden, though, doesn't, immediately recruit Kawa and everybody. He's just about to walk away. He saves them from being burned at the stake, and then he's just like, alright, well, have a good one. Nice to meet you guys. Just, yeah, see ya. You owe me one. And just walks away. And then Kawa and Neko and Inu, they all run up to Oden and grab him. They're like, thank you so much. And they're like, oh, damn it. All right. So they go back to Curry Castle, and they sit down, and they introduce themselves. Okay, Neko and Inu introduce themselves as Mink from the Mokomo Dukedom from Zou. Because Oden was the son of Sukiyaki, of course, he's royalty. He would know also about this vow that the Kozuki clan and the Minks made centuries back. Okay, so, of course, Oden himself has never seen a mink before, but he's like, yeah, my dad talked about Zou, my dad talked about minks, it's all the way back, my grandfather's grandfather or some shit, yeah, so yeah, I know who you guys are, so that's pretty cool. And the minks are like, yeah, we know about you too, that's why we set out to sea. And they're eating a big pot of Oden there. There's a little bit of a gag with Neko, because Neko has a cat's tongue, quite literally, so he's like, very grateful for the food, because they are starving to death. He's like, I'm very grateful for the food, but it's too damn hot, and just knocks it over, and that's like a joke, but they eat it up off the floor, so I guess. Odin is just like, okay, that's a little weird, but, I already kind of, I'm sure Oden does a double take. He's like, you guys are really weird. And then he turns around and sees, Denjiro and Kinemon and Raizo, and just like, you know what? You guys are pretty weird too. Alright, yeah, so this all works out. Kawamatsu then introduces himself, so we get some backstory to Kawamatsu. They're like, alright, you guys are minks. The hell are you? What are you? Because Oden would probably have no scope of reference when it came to, fishmen or merfolk. Okay, he's at least heard stories about the minks. I'm sure maybe Sukiyaki told stories about other species in the world, but Oden is kind of flying blind on this one. So he's like, what are you? Are you, actually a kappa? And we find out Kawamatsu's backstory, and it's actually really sad, okay? So, Kawamatsu and his mother, we see his mother here, who I originally thought was some kind of, frog fishman because of the legs, but no. Kawamatsu's mother is actually a mermaid with the split tail. We don't get to see that too often. We got to see it with Kokoro back at Eni's Lobby. When a mermaid becomes, I think, 30 or 40 years old, I think it's around 30, their tails split, allowing them to walk, up on land, without the need of that bubble apparatus thing in order to make them float. Okay, so Shirahoshi and her brothers roll under the age of 30 because their tails were still intact. They still needed that bubbly coral in order to float around, So we see Kawamatsu's mom here running with her legs split, but they're still very clearly webbed and finned. So I'm like, oh, okay, she's a mermaid. That's neat. So apparently they drifted to Wano a few years back, and they were persecuted for looking like fish. They were probably, looked at like yokai and stuff. And so Kawamatsu's mother tells Kawamatsu, like, hey, our kind, our people have been persecuted for centuries. This is, of course, going back to the Tenryubito and the whole slave thing and everything. So she's like, it's probably best if you don't tell people that you're a fishman, Kawamatsu. Just call yourself a kappa from now on, okay? Now, calling yourself a kappa, like I said, probably not that great in the land of Wano because kappas are yokai that, like, kidnap children and just steal all your cucumbers. So still, honestly, calling yourself a fishman there, because the people of Wano don't know what fishmen are. They wouldn't know what kappa are. So it's kind of this messed up thing where it's like, yeah, you call yourself a kappa in any other part of the world, and you'd be like, kappa, what's that? All right, whatever. And if you call yourself a fishman here, it would be like, all right, you're a fishman. All right, I don't know what that is. Now, like I said, we just had the whole scene with being burnt at the stake, so the people of Wano are scared of, like, anything that's different, period. So Kawamatsu was he was bound to have a rough time there, regardless of what he called himself. But yeah, he's like, yeah, my mother died, and her dying wish was for me not to call myself a fishman, so I'm just a kappa now. I'm Kawamatsu the kappa. I've been living off scraps and garbage for the last 2 years. Thank you for the food. So, all right. I'm sorry. Damn, Kawamatsu's. Damn, that's okay. It's all good now. It's all good now, though. All right. So they thank Oden for the food, and Oden was just like, all right, well, nice to meet all of you. Neko and Inu from Zo, Kawamatsu the kappa. Well, I got a lot of stuff to do, so the ways out's over there, just follow the corridor and you can leave the castle and you can live in the courier. He's like, no, we're gonna stay here with you. And they just jump up and they all hug Oden, and it's just like this adorable little Christmas card photo. I love it, okay? Because you figure, yeah, Neko, Inu, and Kawa, they're the youngest members of the Scabbards, I guess aside from Kiku. Although I don't really know if Kiku's even considered a full-fledged member of the Scabbards at this point. I would assume she would be. I mean, this is a little older. This is like, because this is 6 years since they met. Kiku looked like 5 years old there, so she's probably like 11 now, and Izo's obviously a teenager at this point. At this point in the story, alright, so we started off 41 years ago. That was when Kinemon was 15, and then we did the 2 years where they were traveling Wano, gathering supporters, so Kinemon and Ashura would have been 17, and then we're skipping another 6 years where we're at right now, so that means 23. Yes, I know math. Okay, 23. 17 plus 6 is 23. So that's Kinemon and Ashura. And I think Kanjuro is 3 years older than Kinemon, so that means he would be 26 right now. Don't know Izo's age. Don't know Kiku's age yet. And Denjiro, we also didn't really get a definite answer on how old Denjiro was. When he was first introduced alongside Kinemon, he seemed to be a little bit younger than him. If Kinemon was 15 when they first met with the whole Mountain God incident, which, by the way, we get to see the Mountain God again in this chapter. Yeah, anybody that knows what happened to the Mountain God's gonna be like, what? How? I'm like, do you see its corpse? I'm like, kind of and no, but we'll get to that. Anyway, yeah, Denjiro looked maybe about like 12, 13 when he was first introduced, so maybe like 2-3 years younger than Kinemon, so he's probably like 20 right now, so he's an adult. So yeah, but when it comes to Kawa, Inu, and Neko, all children basically from that perspective, okay? So, they decide like, alright, well, I guess we have 3 new members of our, little group now, and they're like, well, yeah, that should be okay, although we are kind of strapped for cash right now. I mean, he's the daimyo of Curry, but he's still the ruler of this nation. He still probably can't go to Sukiyaki every month and be like, Dad, I need more money. The whole point of being a daimyo, the whole point of Sukiyaki entrusting his son with ruling over this region of Wano was that he could rule over this region of Wano. He can deal with all this stuff on his own without asking for aid from his father all the time. So they have a limited amount of money to work with here to support the region, and they're kind of running low on it right now. And so Denjiro kind of yells at Oden because apparently Oden's been giving some money to Orochi, and he's like, you gave money to Orochi again. Why do you keep supporting that idiot? And Oden's like, well, he's on his own now, but he used to work for Yasui and stuff. And I think this is Oden just trying to pay back Yasui in some way, because Yasui gave him the words of encouragement and stuff, and he really believed in him. And it's one of those things, it's one of those awkward moments, I guess, where it's just like, Yasui is somebody Oden really respects. And then Orochi used to work for Yasui. And Orochi, being the little conniving rat he is, probably shows up to Oden's doorstep and be like, "Hi there, Lord Oden. I'm wondering, Yasui, he trained me up and everything, and he's a great guy. Yasui, he's a magnificent man. Yeah, anyway, I was journeying, and I got robbed, and I don't have any money anymore, so could you give me some more money? Yasui would really like that. I would go to him, but I'm too embarrassed, because Yasui is awesome." And Oden would be like, fine, here. He's like, "Thank you." Probably does that crap like every month, freaking Orochi. God, this guy is such a rat bastard. Really, he is. He's just like, he's doing this thing where he's getting money, like Oden's giving him money. Yasui gave him a place to live and raised him up, into a status that he could never have had beforehand. And yet he's still pulling this crap. It's like, damn it, Orochi. We get to see him later in this chapter, and it's, okay. So anyway, yeah, Oden's like, well, whatever. He's Yasui's former subordinate. I guess I'll help him out if he needs it, right? So this actually leads into the flashback we already had, where Raizo decides to gather the scabbards together, including Inu, Neko, and Kawa. This is the same year. So I'm imagining that at this point they're like, this is okay. You three newbies, this is your first mission. We're gonna sneak into the Hakumai region. We're gonna steal some treasure from a daimyo. Neko, Inu, and Kawa are like, why? I don't know. Well, I guess this is our custom here. We do that. We break into other castles and we steal money. Isn't that how they do things in Wano? I guess so. I don't know. I'm just a kappa. It's like, okay, let's do that. So you're kind of bringing along these newbies that have no perspective of what's going on here. But Raizo's like, let's do this. So they all, gear up in their bandit gear, which basically just means in the land of Wano, you take a handkerchief and just tie it over your head, around your nose. That's the typical attire of a bandit, I guess, because they can't tell who you are if you're doing that. So then they sneak into Hakumai, they sneak into his castle, Yasuie's castle, and they get the coffers. And we see this scene here, and I'm like, put them side by side here to what we saw before. Obviously, before, Kawamatsu and Denjiro were not introduced yet. They were kind of in the background, kind of in silhouette. Well, here, of course, we see them in full view. And of course, it's Izo also that's present. I don't think I see Kiku here. No, I don't think they brought Kiku along. So yeah, it's just Izo here. That's why I say, like, Izo was the official member, and then after Izo left, then Kiku took up his mantle. So anyway, we've already seen this scene before, so I'm not going to really go into too much detail. Basically, the idea is Yasui lets them keep the money. He ties them up and everything, or I guess his subordinates tie them up. Like, these rapscallions were trying to break into the treasure vault, and they have the coffers there, and Yasui is like, you know what, I'll tell you what. I'll let you keep that money. Plus this money. And he lays down another huge bag of, I guess, gold right there on the table, and he's like, what is, okay? And he's like, but it's conditional. I'm not just giving you this money so you can go and gamble it away, or you can go and drink, or you can go and do whatever the hell you do. I'm giving you this money so you can better yourselves, because you understand who you guys are. You're no longer, and I'm the only one that really sees this, because I think the rest of Wano still sees Curry and the land of, that particular part of Wano, and the land Oden raises is sort of more just like dangerous and stuff. But Yasui sees the potential here, and he's like, you don't understand how important you guys are, okay? Oden is going to be the shogun of Wano someday. That is going to happen. Even if the citizens are a little skeptical about that, it's going to happen, all right? And he's a great man, worthy of being shogun. I believe in him. You guys, you lot, are going to be his samurai, his retainers. You need to educate yourselves. You need to improve your lives, okay? You aren't just like a bandit crew living out in the woods anymore, okay? Take this money, buy some books, learn to read. Read the books, better yourselves, learn proper manners, learn how to act like a dignified samurai. I will help you in this venture if it means that Oden will have the appropriate servants and retainers someday that he needs to have. And so this really spoke to Kinemon and the rest of the scabbards at that moment, where Yasui gives them that much money and trusts them that much. And so kind of the same thing with Oden. Oden really respects Yasui. That's the point where the scabbards respect him, and they do exactly what Yasui said. So we get a little bit of a montage now where they all begin to dress like proper samurai. Kawamatsu, Neko, and Inu, they all get Wano gear. We have a scene where Kiku is learning to say Seisha which is the Japanese way of like samurai, you know, but Kinemon's like correcting her. It's like, oh no, you have to say it with your gut, all right? And so we got that. We also got Conjuro and everybody going around reading books, you know, learning about proper table manners and everything. It leads into this funny scene where they're all sitting around the table. Oden's there after they're learning all this stuff, and they have proper table manners. He's like, would you like to pass the dumpling, Denjiro? He's like, ah, yes, Kinemon, I would love the dumpling. Thank you very much. Oden's off to the side like, what the hell are you guys doing? Is this a punk? Are you pranking me right now? What is this? What are you guys acting so weird for? You know, usually when we have dinner, it's like the food goes everywhere. It's like, give me that, you know, freaking Conjuro, give me back that mutton. You know, give me that sake. Look, and now they're all sitting there prim and proper and just like sipping tea. It's like, what's going on here? So Oden's not really happy about it, but in the long run, this is a good thing to do, right? And also, I just have to bring this up because I love it. In these montages where we're getting the retainers, like training and like learning about proper culture, you get to see Denjiro giving a lecture to like Kawa and Inu and Neko, teaching them about the land of Wano, which means he's teaching geography! Yes, Denjiro! Man, Denjiro, I loved you from the first time I saw you. I knew you were going to be an awesome character. He's the best scabbard right out of the gate. I don't care what any of them other do. I don't even care if Denjiro is alive right now. Denjiro could be dead in the ground for 20 years and he would still be the greatest freaking scabbard. Look at him up there. He's like, yes, all right. Training in swordsmanship and bushido is all well and good, but I'll tell you what you really need to learn to survive in this world. Geography, you know, he just goes, this is the Curry region. This is the Ringo region. Hakumai, learn it. Do you even geography, bro? You know, like, Denjiro, I hope everything works out for you, buddy. Hope everything works out for you. We're brothers now. Brothers of geography. And with that being said, with the retainers beginning to set their sights on becoming proper guardians of Oden, we get another time skip. That's like, we're speeding right along. So now we get another time skip 3 years into the future this time. So this is 30 years before the current storyline. Remember, 20 years ago is when the time skip occurred, when they jumped to the future. So this is 10 years before that, 10 years before Oden's death, 10 years before Kinemon and everybody did the jump, and then Kaido and Orochi took over Wano. So now we're getting closer to where we're doing here, but we still have a lot of stuff to cover, right? So 3 years later, we cut to the Flower Capital, where the daimyo of Curry, Oden, who's well respected at this point, is going to be arriving in the Flower Capital. Well, I guess respected in the sense that he's a daimyo, but the people of the Flower Capital are still kind of nervous about him coming, because they're like, oh, well, that's that lawless region, okay? Because I imagine Oden probably doesn't make very many trips to the Flower Capital, you know what I mean? So it's like, this might actually be the first time he arrived with his big entourage and everything. So they're going to do this properly. Oden being in the palanquin, you're going to have the retainers by his side walking down the street, you know, the whole pomp and circumstance, the prestige, you know, of a daimyo visiting the shogun, okay? Not just Oden bursting into the Flower Capital, like, yo, dad, what's up? You know, nothing like that. He's like, this is actually going to be a proper thing. So we cut over to see the mountain god and the mountain god's little boar child. It's a little bit older now. The boar child that Kinemon stole from the thieves is actually grown up a little bit and is now going to be the one that's actually going to support the palanquin. So they put Oden's palanquin on top of the boar. Oden rides on that through town with the samurai walking beside him, okay? But that's not the thing that's the surprise. The surprise is the mountain god, the giant boar the size of a town that Oden sliced in half horizontally is still alive. Somehow. I'm like, no, okay, Oda, no, unless I guess Law is not born yet, unless that doctor that had the power of the Oppi Oppi no Mi grew up in Wano. This is One Piece, so I guess that's not entirely impossible. But unless that doctor traveled to the land of Wano at some point and is like, I'm gonna stitch this freaking boar back together. No, there's no way. Unless, okay, I admit, I am not too familiar with the biology of pigs and boars, but, you know, is a pig's entire anatomy crunched down into the lower half of their body? Because if that's the case, wait, this doesn't even make any sense. If it got sliced from the jaw, that means, like, its brain was disconnected from its body. How the hell did this thing... I I don't get it. I don't know why. I guess Oda just wanted to have a happy ending with the boar and his daddy, I guess. So it's just like, I don't want to draw the boar all by itself. I want to have its dad still around. I'm like, alright, I guess. No, not alright, I guess. That doesn't make any sense. It got sliced horizontally, alright? The top half that had its brain was up here, and the bottom half that had, like, the heart and everything was down here. And they just, boom! Like, and they had to take time to, like, grab, like, the people that were in its stomach literally had time to climb out of its stomach. That doesn't make any sense at all. Maybe they might do some magic stuff at some point, like, oh, somebody had a devil fruit or something, I don't know, Leo's Stitch fruit, or Madame Mancheri's Heel fruit or something, but beyond that, that don't make any sense to me. Alright, whatever. Anyway, it's just a panel, and it doesn't really matter in the grand scope. I'm just like, really, Oda? Like, okay, fine. Anyway, we cut back to the big procession, okay? And everybody in Wano is kind of like, get in, Oden's coming, and he's the daimyo and everything, and I'm just still gonna hide in my house and deadbolt the door with an iron bar, you know? I'm just gonna hang out back here. But as it turns out, Oden arrives in town in a very professional manner. And you get to see Kinemon and Denjiro here. They're 3 years older now, so that means Kinemon would be 27. Ashura would be 26, Kanjuro would be like 29, we could just, at this point, we could basically just subtract 10 years from their current ages, at least with the ones that time traveled. So Kanjuro is 39 right now, he'd be 29 at this point. Yeah, we could just do that, basically. So they're walking through town, they're all wearing the proper outfits, they got their sword, they have a dignified look. Kinemon dropped the pompadour and I guess dyed his hair from blonde to black, so now he's, you know, he looks basically like what he does now. And this is when all that started, you know, these are the proper 9 red scabbards here. We do see Kiku walking amongst them, so maybe 10 red scabbards at this point. But yes, they're walking through town. Denjiro is a young man. He's looking very dignified, looking a lot more like Koshiro. Just throwing it out there. But yeah, so the whole reason Oden came to the Flower Capital, though, was to see his dad, because he heard that his dad was ill. So we all know this isn't going to go well. We know Sukiyaki was dead, you know, at some point. We don't really know how it happened, okay? But he was like, alright, this isn't going to end well. So Oden goes to see Sukiyaki, and Sukiyaki, we only get to see him in one panel, and he's kind of in the distance. We don't get to see him that close up, but he seems to be in good spirits to the point where they're arguing together. He's like, hey, Dad, how you doing? Heard you were sick. Ah, you stupid son. I'm not sick. I'm strong as an ox. You know, that kind of stuff. And you get to see Orochi, though, in the distance, kind of just wringing his hands menacingly, wearing the Kozuki outfit. So I'm guessing, alright, he originally started as a poor beggar boy. Then Yasui picked him up, trained him how to be, you know, a proper servant to a daimyo and everything, gave him clothes and everything, trained him on proper etiquette, and then after 6 years of tutelage under Yasui, I guess he went off to be on his own, and now he is working in the Flower Capital directly under Sukiyaki as probably like one of his errand boys or whatever, and he's wearing the proper Kozuki garb and the signia and everything, and he's just like, and we don't get to know exactly what's going on here. The narrator does specify, though, he's like, well, this meeting was a good meeting between Oden and his dad, and it's kind of a good thing that they had a good meeting, because this is the last time Oden ever spoke to his father. Now that could mean his dad could die next week or 5 years from now, because remember, Oden is going to begin his journey at sea very soon. So this is the last time he sees his dad before he goes out to sea, and I think by the time he gets back to Wano, his dad's going to be dead. So yeah, that might even be one of the reasons he comes back to Wano. Like, that's maybe a big impetus, like, your dad died, you need to come back. I'm like, whoa. So yeah. Now Orochi, though, it hasn't been stated, but Orochi in the court of the Shogun, freedom to come and go, probably the one that brings Sukiyaki his meals. Sukiyaki is growing more and more ill. I think we all know where this is going. Orochi pulled a Dio! Not even like Stardust Crusaders, vampires, stopping time, Zaworldo, green lipstick Dio. I'm talking Phantom Blood, Victorian era, pre-vampire, poisoning fetish dad Dio. That's the Dio I'm talking about, you know? Where, yeah, he's just like, yes, I am Lord Orochi, yes. Slowly but surely, I'll sprinkle just a little bit of poison into his food. It'll take a while, but And then I'll get my hands on that stone mask and then take over the world and then capture the fairy godparents. So that's Orochi's plan. All right, we all for that. Step 1, poison Oden's Sukiyaki's food. Step 2, capture fairy godparents. Step 3, become a vampire. Step 4, take over Wano. I think we can all see where this is going from here. Okay, so yeah. Now, final scene of the chapter, the moment we've all been waiting for, and I think this flashback is going to get a hell of a lot more interesting from this point onward. That same year, so not like the same day that Oden goes to the flower capital to meet his dad, but like the same year, so couple months later probably, a certain pirate ship washes ashore at Wano, and the pirate ship is in fact the Moby Dick! Which actually makes it even more sad that the Moby Dick got destroyed at Marineford. Like, man, that really was like the flagship of the Whitebeard crew for like 30 years. Damn, that's really sad it's gone now. So the Moby Dick lands ashore at Wano. They ended up somehow going up the waterfall and they landed, and Whitebeard's confused as all hell. He's like, wait a second, didn't we go up a waterfall? How did we end up in the ocean on an island on top of a waterfall? Whatever, I don't know. So Whitebeard's there. He's a lot younger. He would be 42. So yeah, I just checked. Yes, he was in fact 72 when he died. I was pretty sure of that. So 30 years ago, he would be 42. Pretty much in his prime for all intents and purposes. You know, I would consider that definitely the point where he's in his prime. I'm assuming he has the Guru no Mi at this point. We don't get to see him really. Well, actually, no, we do kind of see him fight, but he doesn't really use the power of that fruit yet. So we'll see where that goes with that. But he's there with his crew, and they're basically just chilling out on the beach of Curry, just kind of like, all right, well, it's going to take about a week to repair, and it does seem like the island is inhabited. There are people that are here. They've never heard of Wano before, it seems. So it's like, Whitebeard's like, all right, well, I guess we gotta start scouring the island and figuring out what's going on here. And we get to see some other members of the Whitebeard crew in their younger years, which is just, yeah, right? It's marvelous. Okay, so first we see Marco. Marco is just a little lad here. Marco is 45 right now in the story, which means he would only be 15 right here. 15-year-old Marco chilling out right next to Whitebeard, and he's like, I'll go, but another member of the crew, who's actually not a member of the crew at Marineford, but an ally, Whitey Bay, is a member of the crew here, the Ice Witch, and I used to think her name was Whitney, and it's Whitey instead. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. All right, I'll just roll with that, I guess. But yeah, she's there, and she's a member of the Whitebeard crew properly, and she's like, no, Marco, you're just an apprentice pirate. You know, that's too dangerous for you to go off on your own. This speaks volumes. Going on top of Whitey Bay, we also have Ipoida, the caterpillar dude, and we also have, I think it's Andre. It's either Andre or Blondie, or I guess Blamenco in a sense, because Blamenco is the big fat dude that's the captain of the 6th Division, and, you know, this was 30 years ago, so obviously he might have lost some hair. Blondie was also like a really morbidly obese pirate, so it might have been him, but I'm thinking it's Andre, who was actually named after Andre the Giant, who also has a brother named Kandre, who's a Marine. Kandre became a Marine, Andre became a pirate, and yeah, so Andre, Whitey Bay, Ipoida, yeah, those are all captains of their own crews. Now, they branched off from the Whitebeard crew and then helped him at Marineford. That is so cool, because at Marineford, we just assumed, at least I assumed, that all of those New World pirates that came to help Whitebeard, like Thunder McGuy and the DeClavin brothers and Squardo and everybody, they were just allies of Whitebeard. They just really respected the man. But no, this is a whole new thing where it's like, no, every single one of those captains, maybe not every single one, but I think a big chunk of those captains served on Whitebeard's crew for like maybe years, like decades ago, and then they decided to leave the nest, and like, because it's a family, it's like, okay, well, Whitebeard's goal is to have a family. Well, part of having a family is you got to know when your kids are old enough in time to leave the nest, and they decided to leave and start up their own pirate crews, but they're still family. Now, like I said, I don't think every single, like, I don't think maybe like Ors Jr. was a member of the crew, or like every single member that was helping them out. I think some of them were just purely allies in that respect. But they all called him Pops, they all called him Dad, because they respected him, right? But it just makes more sense from Whitey Bay and Ipoida and Andre, because they literally used to be part of the Whitebeard crew. This also kind of leads to an interesting perspective here, okay? So, you know how, like, I'm trying to think of a good way to say this. Comparing the Whitebeard crew to other Yonko it seemed like a little different, especially like okay, the division commanders are not as strong as like the Sweet Commanders or the Calamities, or Red Hair Shanks' crew. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see now, like Marco and Vista and Jozu, those are the exception because they're the stronger commanders. But like technically Fossa, which we actually do get to see Fossa in this flashback too, the Flame Sword do. Fossa is a Yonko commander, technically, but he's not nearly as strong as like Katakuri, right? You know, like that's what I mean. It makes sense now that Whitebeard did not really care about just gathering power like the other Yonko did. Big Mom had her children, and she's like, you are my children. You are going to be on this crew until I die or you die. You can't leave the crew. You're part of this, all right? Same thing with Kaido. I don't think if Queen came up to Kaido and was like, hey, Kaido, boss, I'm going to be leaving to start my own crew. I don't think Kaido would be cool with that, you know? So it's like, no, you stay on this crew, you're going to gather power, and you're going to make me the king of the pirates. Whitebeard was different. Whitebeard didn't care about really becoming like, you know, following in Roger's footsteps or finding Laugh-Tale or gathering I just need more power, 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 power. Whitebeard just wanted to have a family. So it's just like, hey, if you want to leave the crew, I will always support you. I will always be your father. Always view the Moby Dick and my islands as a place where you can rest. And, yeah, just stay in touch. And I wish you the best of luck, Andre, when you go out to make your own crew. Or when Whitey Bay goes out to have her crew. You know, just, like, go out and just enjoy the world. Because that's how you have to do it. But, yeah, at this point, you know, this seems like the original Whitebeard crew. This is 8 years after the God Valley incident. So, I guess how this goes, I think we can kind of put together Whitebeard's past pretty damn, you know, well at this point. He started off in Sphinx Island. He was in that war-torn nation, stricken with poverty, and he was a kid that just, you know, tried to survive there as best as he could. And then at some point he went out to sea, and he was part of that pirate crew that we saw in the flashback, you know, where he was just looking out to sea, and he's like, I just want a family someday. That was probably the crew he was an apprentice pirate on. And then after that, he was just chilling out on the Pirates Paradise Island, the Beehive Island. And then, you know, at some point, probably like, you know, 38 years ago was when Rocks disbanded, so they probably started the crew a couple years before that, like 40-something years ago, they probably began the Rocks crew. Might have even been 50 years ago. Rocks was like, you know, I want a bunch of strong pirates to join my crew. Maybe through a Davy backfight. Whitebeard and Kaido and Big Mom all ended up on his crew, and then they journeyed for a few years, gaining more power. Maybe that's where Whitebeard, you know, that's probably where he learned all of his tricks. You know, he learned hockey, he learned, maybe got his devil fruit at that point. And then, after the Rocks crew disbanded, 8 years before this, he started to build up his own crew, and here we are, 8 years later. Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, 42 years old, he has his Moby Dick, he's got his crew, pretty strong. We also see Jozu there. Jozu is a little younger than Marco. I think Jozu would be 12 in this backstory. Rankyaku is there. I think that's his name, Rankyaku. No, I always confuse that. Rankyaku is the name of the Tempest Kick. Hold on, let me check that really quick. Oh, man. Whoa. Yeah, the names of all the division commanders there. I did a video on it. Go check out the video I made on all the division commanders, yeah. We also get to see King Du and Atmos, Water Buffalo Atmos in this chapter, so that's cool. It's Rakuyo, that's it. Okay, so Rakuyo is there. He was the 7th Division Commander. He's the one with the giant spiked ball that, you know, fights with that, and the spiked ball, we see it in this chapter. But we don't know if it's, like, animated yet, because the spike ball at the time in Marineford, it looked like it ate a devil fruit or something. It looked more like a chain chomp. Here, it just seems like a spiked iron ball. So I think that's what happened. He just had a spiked iron ball, and it just ate a devil fruit at some point, and it became this animated sentient being that fought alongside Rakuyo. All right? Vista's there in his younger years. Vista was always stated to be one of the earliest members to join the crew, one of the oldest members to join the crew. So Vista, I believe, is 47 right now. He would have been 17 here. So he's looking pretty strong, 17 years old, pretty tough swordsman even at this young age. He was training in swordsmanship ever since he was a little kid there. We don't know the ages of Whitey Bay or Ippoida or Andre. We didn't get ages for them. I'm going to assume, though, considering Whitey Bay was looking at Marco and she was like, you know, oh, Marco, you're just an apprentice pirate, that indicates that she is not an apprentice pirate, which means she might be like the same age Nami is. She was like the Nami of the Whitebeard crew back in the day. You know, she's the sexy female. And so in this scene, maybe she's like 18 or 20, something like that, which would indicate right now in the story she would be in her 40s to 50s, which if that's the case, damn, looking fine, bae. So yeah, the ice switch. Yeah, so she's Elsa, essentially. Yeah, let's just go with that. I've always loved her, especially since she had the icebreaker vessel at Marineford Marineford. She was a really cool character. Epoida, the guy that has the caterpillar fruit, I guess. I like how in the anime, in the English dub, they gave him like a hick, kind of like redneck accent. It was like, yeah, we'll join in on the right side too. We'll help beat those ships there, Pops. So that was the accent they gave him. And Andre, I don't remember much about Andre, to be honest with you, but hey, we got a lot of captains that we saw at Marineford that we don't know anything about up till this point, so this would be the perfect time to really expand on that. We saw one of the minks that was there, that walrus mink. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to expand on here with these captains, right? And this might not even be all of them. We see Fossa, we see King Du, we see Atmos, but that's only a little bit of this crew. This crew is huge, even back then. So yeah, we're definitely going to see more about Whitebeard and his crew, and we might see more familiar faces in the upcoming chapters. But back to the chapter, the last scene of the chapter, Whitebeard's just chilling out there, and he starts hearing something. He's like, you know, okay, guys, we're going to go scour the island, you know, form a foraging party. Wait. What is it, Pops? I sense something. Clutches his bicento. I sense something incredible approaching. Oden finds out that they wrecked at the Itachi port in his region. He makes a beeline. He bursts out of the palace. He just starts running. He's just like, oh, this is it! This is it! And he's just rushing down the mountain toward the beach, and Whitebeard's like, all right, you all stand back. I don't know what the hell's coming at us. He gets his bicento ready. He rears it back. Oden jumps in the air. Shing takes out his dual katanas, and then boom! Just clashes right there with freaking Whitebeard. Conqueror's Hockey just blowing off the freaking attack, and he introduces himself. He's like, my name's Kozuki Oden. I don't know you, you don't know me, but let me join your crew. Take me out to sea. Whitebeard's just like, what the huh? What? I don't, Hey, it did say, you know, Whitebeard was mesmerized, you know, or captivated by Oden. So, like, I guess that's the best way to earn Whitebeard's respect. Just jump out of the ocean, just jump out of the forest and just clash with Conqueror's Hockey and just, okay, yeah, right, all right. So that's where the chapter ends. Now, I don't know where we're going to go from here, but we're gonna go from here, you know? I guess Whitebeard's like, all right, well, you're pretty strong, but why do you want to leave the island? So I'm sure Oden's gonna go on a whole thing about why he wants to leave his homeland, why he dreams of the open sea, and Whitebeard would probably be impressed with that. Whitebeard would probably be like, I understand that. That's the pirate's soul, the soul of adventure that you have calling to you. And I can't stop you if that's what you want, and you're clearly strong enough to be on my crew. So Oden and his group, I could see helping him rebuild the Moby Dick, fixing Whitebeard's ship up, you know, the retainers and stuff would help with that. And then after that, after a week, I think after spending some time with Oden and the castle and drinking some sake and living the Wano lifestyle, after a week, after the repairs are finished, I think Whitebeard would definitely accept Oden on his crew, be like, oh, come with my crew, you definitely, this is your time, right? And we can do this. So yeah. This is how this is going to go. I'm assuming the retainers do not go with him because he has to leave people behind to protect the land and all that stuff, right? So yeah, this is the part of the story I think everybody's really interested in. We're going to see next chapter. I hope we get a good, solid chapter of him just traveling with Whitebeard. I hope they don't skip over it. I hope it's not like, all right, he travels with Whitebeard for 3 years, then he travels with Roger for 4 years, and they live at laugh till. I hope it's nothing like that. I hope it's like, we get some adventures and we get to see what's going on in the dynamic between Oden, and we get to see the Whitebeard crew and its grand scope at this point, like everybody that existed there. Like we could probably see a bunch of the captains that exist right now. So yeah, I think that's how it goes, really. And Oden would, of course, become the 16th Division commander of the crew. Well, it wasn't stated he was the 16th. I think it was. Yeah, he was the 16th commander. So he became a commander pretty much right out of the gate, I would imagine, because he's pretty strong, right? And it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, we get to see all the old-timers on the crew, the ones that stuck around, like Marco, and then the ones that decided to leave and start their own crews in their own respective ways. I wonder if Squardo is on the crew at this point, because Squardo was the one that betrayed Whitebeard. See, I don't think if Squardo really did travel with Whitebeard at some point, I don't think he would have been that quick to turn on him, just because of some words that Inu lies to him about. So I think Squardo might be an example of, like, not a member of the crew, but he was just an ally and really respected Whitebeard. Like I said, I don't think every single one of these people, all served on the crew at some point, but I think a good chunk of them probably did. So yeah, we're going to see that next chapter. Maybe get to expanding on a lot of their devil fruits that we didn't get to see, like Lightning Magai. He had that lightning sword. Is that Electro? Does he have Electro? What's up with the walrus mink? What's up with this dude? You know, I don't even know what's up with this dude, right? So we can find out what's up with this dude. So yeah, we can see where this is going. I'm excited. Thanks for watching, everybody. And yeah, no break next week. Getting right into it, into the Christmas season. Next week will be Thanksgiving, actually. So if you live in America, happy Thanksgiving. If not, have a good Thursday. Tekking101, signing out.